If you're looking to 3x cube your business, the secret formula lies within.
Have you ever met someone and you instantly connected, learned something, and couldn't wait until your next conversation? That is how you're going to feel today. Welcome to Women Leaders on the Move, a Her C-Suite radio podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Benamou, and every week I bring inspirational conversations and ideas that will help you with all phases of your life and your career, especially if you are in the second half of your career. I'm also the founder of Her C-Suite, where women are building what comes next in their boards, portfolio career, and scaling their businesses. I hope you'll check it out at hercsuite.com. And today I am so excited to bring you Jackie Joy. Jackie and I met through Mark Hunter, one of my mentors, and I met Mark through Sales Logic. I'm in his mastermind, and he was kind enough to introduce me to Jackie, and I had that instant connection. She empowers women to lead with confidence and clarity, and she's the Chief Strategy Officer of The Perfect Plan. She fuses data-driven insight with heart-centered leadership, and I can't wait for you to hear all the things that we talk about today that are going to make a difference for you and your business. Let's dive in now. Jackie, I'm so excited to welcome you to Women Leaders on the Move today. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I could not wait for today.
And thanks and a shout out to Mark Hunter, who sent us this intro and was like, you two need to meet. And we were like, oh, who's this? And then we quickly found that we had so much synergy. I can't wait to talk with you today.
Absolutely. And before we do, I want to thank you for everything that you are doing for women out there and their changing careers. And it is so important for us to have a community to go to that we can get information. So thank you for everything that you do.
Well, we're going to get right into it. And before we talk about this topic, which we're both super passionate about, I want to know a little bit about getting to this moment because you've had an incredible career and you are doing some amazing things as well. And we're going to talk about that. So how did you get to this moment today? What was your journey like?
I actually tell people I'm a Jackie of all trades because I have done everything from being a stay-at-home mom, being a meat wrapper at a deli, to selling insurance, to being an executive coach and sales trainer. So there's pretty much nothing that I haven't done. So I have a whole plethora of experience that I can bring into our conversation and to people that I work with as well. But how I got to where I am now is my passion. My goal in life is to put people in a better place than I found them. And as I go through that journey of myself and helping other people, just the universe has put me in different places, different steps. And just even, when I look back going, oh, if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have met this person, wouldn't have worked here, wouldn't have had that experience to bring to here. It's like all the dots connected when I landed here with the perfect plan. And here come the girls.
I love what you're doing because recently I've become low-key obsessed with this idea of women and wealth and the power of the purse. And we had this whole conversation. And that's when I said, oh my goodness, we have to do this show for women to understand this moment. Can you describe what is about to happen? Because I think as many times as I talk about it, it's not quite sinking in maybe of how is this possible and what is happening. So let's talk about what's about to transpire.
This is going to surprise probably most of your audience. It's the elephant in the room, but I work with a gentleman who is a behavioral economics, and well, he's many things, but that's one of his titles. So what that means is he watches trends, future trends of what's going to happen in the future. He's not an economics major that goes, oh yeah, this is why this happened, this and this. He looks to the future. One of the things he's noticed and had been keeping track of is women taking over leadership roles. There's so many books on leaderships out there that this just couldn't be another book. It was just too important. So he went back to school to do a doctoral research, and the book is named Here Come the Girls. But what's different about this book, it's a celebration of why women are going to take over global leadership in 2028. That's the tipping point. Now, it's not going to be 100% all or nothing, but women are going to have more C suite roles in the world, not just the United States, globally, than our male counterpart. But on top of that, I just want to do a little tagline. We're not asking men to step aside, we're asking them to step up so men can be allies. So I had to be a part of this. This is history in the making. And women need to know how important our role is in society and in economics, because this will add actually $15 trillion to the national GDP. That's huge. So the economy is going to boom as women in leadership start stepping into our power.
I had chills like halfway through this whole thing that you were saying because I know that the power of the purse and the economic wealth that's about to happen in 2030 is a little different than what we're talking about now. And I think that we haven't quite grasped the magnitude, but you just said $15 trillion to the GDP. That's tremendous. What was some of the things that you've discovered in the work you're doing with him?
So, first of all, when they compared a male owned business to a women owned business, same identical thing. So, he always uses, say, it's a deli in New York. You can't do a deli in Anchorage, Alaska, because that's not fair. So, same place, male owned, female owned. A woman will always 3x a male's business, always. So, we bring more revenue to the table. And I'll tell you what the difference is in a minute. The other thing that was noticed is the average age of a worker is 39 years old, and they change jobs every 3 years. Now, that's 10 3-year careers that our professors are telling our students in university. But when a woman is at the helm, it's every 6 years. And in years 4, 5, and 6, production doesn't go down, it goes up. And most of the time, the reason why they're leaving is because they had a better opportunity to raise herself into the C-suite, get in leadership positions. So that's why the economy is going to go up. Now, when you have one woman here 3xing their business, another woman here 3xing, and another woman here 3xing, you don't minus that, you multiply it. So that's 3x cubed, which is 9x. So it's positive, positive, positive all the way around.
I love this idea of 4, 5, and 6, years 4, 5, and 6, and how the productivity goes up because I think people don't understand that retention and the cost to hire someone new is the dip, right? So we've seen, and I know you know that the work that I do is oftentimes it's always with women over 20 years in experience, but oftentimes 30, 25, 30 years, and they get exited. What is happening to that organization with the brain drain of exiting that senior leader for a less experienced person? There's a whole ramp up, right? Of having to relearn and understand. And so I think what you're describing is that in a woman-owned business, that 4, 5, and 6, you're bringing that person along, and it could be a man or a woman. It's not specific to the gender in the employee side, but they now have that leadership that they are able to contribute in a more meaningful way because they're not just leaving and you have to start over.
Absolutely. We're getting to the point that, when we help coach and train, because this isn't going to be a light switch, this is not going to be overnight. And it's not going to be, oh, let's just sit and watch. There's things that have to be learned because there's some women that were very much trained patriarchal. They forgot who they were. They have to unravel all that. And men have to change the way they think about their thinking to be able to make that employee. And here's another thing, that it's not just what our employees are feeling, it's what our clients are looking for and needing. So when you have a male at the helm, they're more, men are fixers. We all know this. If you've been married, you know men are fixers. You try to have a conversation with them and they're trying to fix it. And even though the women are going, I just needed to say this, that's all. I didn't need help. I didn't need you to come in and fix it and save the day. I just needed to say it. When you have a woman-owned business, she adds several steps in front of a decision. So when another leader comes to her with a problem, The first thing that a female leader will do will show sympathy for the problem. Then she shows empathy for the person. Like, you didn't expect this to happen. I hope you're not losing sleep over that because, I know you did not expect that to happen. And then what she does is, you're in charge of that department. What do you think you should do? You know this well enough. You've been in that position. How do you feel like we should fix it? And she would either give her opinion, him or her, give their opinion, and she would meet them in the middle. So, what's happening in the way I describe it is people are feeling seen, heard, understood, and therefore valued. When people feel valued, whether it's a client or whether it's anyone in their workforce, they will bend over backwards because people, from the time they were little kids, they want to know that people care that they exist. So when you show people that they're valued, they'll bend over backwards for you.
Yeah, I wonder what it is about that sense of value. I know that there's that saying about people leave their boss, they don't leave the company, and that happens more often than not. And I think that's a little bit about what you're describing is that they feel valued. I want to go back for a second into that multiplier, the 3x, 3x, 3x positive, because it's very interesting to me. Do the companies need to know each other? Can you describe that dynamic a little bit more in detail?
No, they don't need to know each other. It's just math. You don't add 3 plus 3 plus 3. It's an equation. In that case, you have to multiply them. And that's why you get the growth. But the industries don't have to know each other to get that kind of growth.
So is it industry agnostic? So it could be someone at a deli, it could be someone that is not, maybe that's a laundromat, it could be, I mean, completely different types of businesses. And is it service based versus, a physical product? How does that work? Is there any differentiation there?
No.
No. Okay.
And sometimes in business, it's hard for people to grasp this, but it's how people feel. If you have someone and they feel like they've been seen, they've been heard, someone cares what they're saying, and they're recognized for that, those people are going to bend over backwards. So they're going to do twice as much as they normally would do. But if you get a different person and they come up with a suggestion, it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Or, we've all seen it. We've all seen people get brushed aside. They have these great ideas. This part is not scientific. This is my own words. You see people all the time getting shoved aside, especially women going, "Oh, I have this great idea. We could do this, this, and this." Oh, yeah, that's nice. And then your male counterpart says the same thing 2 weeks later. It's like, "Oh my God, we'll get that done right now." And it's like, why? Those are some of the things that we're going to have to unravel over the next few years for our male counterparts or women that do that. And it's not trying to be a feel good type of moment, but it's true. We're all human and we all want to be recognized that we're living on this planet with everybody else. We don't want to feel like we're a ghost or, you could say something. It's like, does anyone even know I exist? And that happens a lot in corporations, unfortunately, which is why a lot of people are leaving big corporations because they want to feel important to the cause, to their clients.
I agree with you. I think that it doesn't matter the circumstance. It could be you could be at the grocery store and not get attention and someone is passing you by and going to someone else. They're micro moments that I think we don't appreciate the impact and the ripple effect. But that person may not go back to that grocery store because they didn't have a good experience. Experience today is everything.
Everything.
Everything, whether you're at the post office, which I love my post office. I talk about it all the time, Midwest friendly. I go to this post office and there's one person and it's like a conversation and it's like a little social moment and you're having this great time and I look forward to that little interaction because I work from home. I don't interact with people, but if I have to go to the post office, I have that micro moment and you multiply that out and when people feel that, you feel joyful and then that has a ripple effect. What have you seen or what are you seeing looking forward in that regard where it's not only financial, but there's also like this groundswell of people feeling better?
Everything impacts each other. Everyone think about this for a moment with me. If you have a corporation And everybody cannot wait to get up and get to work and be with their peers at work, driving for the same mission, working for the same goal. You don't have anybody that is trying to shove you down or push you down or trying to climb over you because they want to get to the position first. And we are trying to work everybody to work together as a team. There's equal and opposites to everything. Everything. Sun, moon, black, white, yin, yang. Where does the magic happen? It happens when they meet in the middle. The collaboration. It's not putting other down, it's raising them up. It's really hearing what other people say. I used to be a sales trainer. One of the things that I used to say, I said, it's not how much you talk, it's how much you listen. So imagine an entire workforce feeling listened to, feeling like if they contribute something, they're not afraid to stand up. How many times have you seen that in industry? They're afraid to say something. Imagine if we could unwind and have people not afraid to say what's in their mind, because there's so much progress that could move forward. So this is actually going to be bigger than the Industrial Revolution. Think of that.
I'm fast forwarding to 2028 and I'm envisioning our conversations that we're going to be having. What are you tracking towards with the work that you're doing and your organization and ramping up for this moment? What are some of the things that you're doing?
So we work a lot with HR, and we have uncovered that there's a lot of times they don't know what to do to get this movement going. So first and foremost, we ask them to hand it off to their broker, see if their broker of insurance can handle it, because they have an impact item that's sitting right in front of them that they're not utilizing. So one of the things that we do is we work with their insurance, their employee benefits. We change it their name. We call it an employee gratitude plan because no one benefits with insurance. So what we do is we go in and we work through the whole process of what their needs are. We do censuses of their entire team. And then we do some leadership training of their top leaders and HR. HR has to be included because they have their finger on the pulse of what's going on. And we do leadership training and we do keynote speaking and we do a lot of one-on-one training, because you need the top down effect on this one. It's not the bottom up, it's the top down. Because if the top is not bought in on changing how they treat the rest of the workforce, it's not going to go anywhere. So there's a lot of cultural shifts that have to change. But the work we've done so far, it is astounding. People are so excited, both male and female. You have a lot of might have been old patriarchal male system, but they have daughters and they're thrilled and they're buying these books for their daughters because they don't want their daughter to have to deal with some of the things they've seen or they've done. So it's such a fascinating time. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, it is amazing. And I imagine that as you see that transformation, it's also building on each other. So, there's this multiply effect within an organization once people are feeling that positivity. And really, it's a cultural revolution in a way of what you're describing, of just this mindset change and openness to how to really treat people with kindness. It comes down to really having empathy and then allowing them to solve problems on their own, right? I think that's some of the things that you were sharing.
Absolutely. Even in the book, yes, it's a study, but there's action items in there. There's things that you can start doing right away. You can start with that. See how far you can go with it. Do the little actions that they're not little actions. They're big monumental for your company and your clients. Work on some of those steps, make those changes. So I'm going to bring up something that we talk about a lot because it's huge in the news right now is DEI. So we don't talk about diversity at Here Come the Girls because this is from Dawn, not me. I'm not an economics major. If economics was a human being, they wouldn't understand the question of diversity because the world and the globe is already as diverse can be. What we have to focus on and what we focus on is inclusion, the inclusion and the equity. That's what's important. So this isn't about checking a box. This isn't about, just DEI. This is about an entire movement of people feeling seen, heard, understood, and therefore valued. And it's just math and science after that.
What's coming to mind is, okay, I'm a solopreneur or I'm a business leader or I'm a leader at a company. There's kind of three different types of listeners. If you're not one of those listeners, it's okay. You're going to get something. But in those three instances, what's one thing that each of those scenarios? So we'll start with the individual. If you're at a company, what is one thing as an individual you might be able to take action on to help move this forward?
Well, one, I suggest reading the book. I mean, I've now read it like 6 or 7 times. I feel like I've written it at this point because I talked to Dawn. I'm going, oh, we. And I'm like, I mean, you wrote the book. I just read it a lot. But it's really the same thing for every industry. It's going to be different for different people because not knowing their specific scenario, harder to just pinpoint that. But it really gets down to the point of having sympathy for a problem, empathy for the person, meeting them in the middle, and then they'll feel valued. And the other way that, like I said, the way I say it is no matter what type of business you're in, if you're a solopreneur, your clients are begging to be seen, heard, understood, and therefore valued. They don't want you to be a walking brochure. Oh, that didn't work here. Try this policy of mine or this program of mine. They want you to really hear them and ask them deeper questions of, so let me ask you, why do you think that's not working? What do you think would work? Clients want that collaboration more so now since COVID, a sense of community, collaboration. That is such a huge thing for any type of industry today, especially our clients are begging for it.
I think one of the things that people can do is as you get curious, and if you're not sure what questions, I use Chat GPT all the time. Put it into Chat GPT with the right prompt, and you sent me a great prompt. But put a prompt in that describes who you are, your voice, and then the scenario, and how can I approach this problem with sympathy, empathy, and also I think that empowerment piece is so important. If there's someone on your team, even if you're a solopreneur, you have people that work for you or work with you. How can I empower someone to solve this problem and let me do other things and free up my time? So there's always a way that we can apply this.
100%. And then, pay attention to the person. They often get overlooked sometimes, but if you have someone that's really an introvert, I'll tell you the brilliance that is going on inside that mind. And if you can tap into that, and how you do it is what we just were talking about, there is so much you will learn because all they're doing is sitting and paying attention to absolutely everything around them. So they will have the keys to what is going on in your organization as well. So it's really just paying attention to humans that are around you. Men a lot more than women, even though there are some this way, they have blindfolders on. Men compartmentalize stuff. So they can literally walk through a room and not see that there was 20 people that they just walked by. Women, again, this is never all or nothing. Women will notice what's going on around them. It's like they use their peripheral vision as well as their forward facing vision to know what's happening. I do this to my husband all the time. We watch football a lot. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did you see that? He goes, I was watching the football come. I said, so was I. I saw this play, but did you see what was happening in the stands? That was hysterical. And we have to bring that to work too and see what's going on around us.
Jackie, I could talk to you all day. It's so hard to end amazing, inspirational conversations like this. And I would love for people to find out more about the important work that you're doing. Where should they go to find you and find out about all the things that are happening in preparation for 2028, which is incredible?
For me personally, you can go on LinkedIn. It's Jackie Joy. I'm pretty simple to find. I've got one of those rememberable names, so it works for me. And then dawnbarden.com, and it's BARDEN.com.
I love it. My mind is racing into all these different areas, but I have to stay focused on this conversation, and I've enjoyed it so much and learned so much, and it's really opened doors, I think, for our listeners to think broader and think big and be excited about what the future is holding for us. Can you imagine? I'm so excited.
Another thing, if they reach out to me through LinkedIn, tell me they heard me on your show. This is Dawn's first doctoral study called The Perfect Plan. It's a secret formula behind what the elite performers do differently, and I'll send them a PDF.
Oh, thank you so much. I will have that information in the show note. What a gift. What a great way to end our conversation. Jackie, thank you for being on the show today. I've enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us in this conversation today. How excited are you that we are going to have incredible momentum leading up to 2028? And the power of the purse is real. This momentum is real. And I hope that you will check out the books that we talked about in this show. They will be links in the episode. And what a wonderful gift that Jackie is offering you at the end. I hope that if you found this show helpful, that you'll share it with a friend or colleague today. Keep shining your light bright. The world needs you.